Hello, Dr. Fathiyah. Thank you so much for joining us, and you're here to talk about your next paper. So really excited to hear a lot about that. And
Yes.
but before we do, would you mind introducing yourself?
All right. So I'm Fathiyah from Universiti Teknologi Petronas, and I've been working with FTG data, which was acquired by Bell, I think almost 2 years now. So, well,
Yep.
that's me.
Yep. And my name is Roy Kittrellto. I'm the lead regional geoscientist for Bell Geospace, based here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So really, this is just a video to get acquainted with Fathiyah and talk about some of the results from her latest paper, which covers the Tinjar Province. Is that correct?
Yes,
And you
this
used
in Tinjar
the
Province.
and you used some of the FTG data that we acquired over that area to do some structural interpretation.
Right, correct.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about more what's in your paper?
Basically, this paper is focusing on our attempt to reevaluate the structural trends that we had in Tinjar Province. So, of course, this is an onshore area and is very, would say, geological complex area. So, we would like to see if FTG can bring out something new that we never seen. So, basically, yes, the answer is yes. So, let's see what is it.
Yeah. Really, I think everyone's going to be very interested to see some of the results. How did you choose the airborne gravity data to be used amongst all of the other available data sets?
So basically, with the advice from yourself, Roy, so we decided to focus on the depth tensor for the geological and structural interpretation.
And that's using the TZZ set, the component of the FTG.
Yeah, not just the TZZ, we also focus on the TXZ and TYZ.
That's right. Okay, great.
Yeah. So I also actually choose this tensor, and then I make guided selections based on the targeted depth. Basically, for the shallow sections, it's focused on less than 10 kilometer. Intermediate sections focus on up to 25 kilometer. And for the deeper part, which is up to or possibly around maximum 50 kilometer.
So for anyone watching the video, what we're talking about is taking the FTG data and then filtering it to look at different sections of the geological subsurface.
Exactly.
So you can actually not only see the full signal, but you can actually filter it depending on which depth you're looking at. So that was what the technique that Fathiyah here used to examine the subsurface in the Tinjar area. So what's next after data selection?
So basically, here comes the geological or the structural part. So we do it the traditional way, where we map the lineaments based on the color contrast technique. So we see if there's a low gravity, high gravity, low magnetic, high magnetics, and then we mark the boundary. So we transfer all the lineaments into the rose diagrams. We measure the strike directions, and then it comes into interpreting the stress and strain using the standard strain ellipsoid technique to integrate where is the directions of the extensional or compressional tensor working responsible for the formations of these faults and faults in this area.
Yeah, so just to be clear, you were not only using the AirFTG data from our Malaysian multi-client survey, you were also looking at the aeromagnetic data, which is a complementary data set that we also acquire. So that's great to hear that you're integrating all of the different potential fields data that we have over the Tinjar area.
Sure.
So how did the airborne gravity data improve the structural interpretation of the area?
So basically, I would say on the shallower sections, it's really like making a confirmations or complement that the interpretations are very similar to what we have already interpreted previously, but with the long wavelength FTG as well as the aeromagnetic, which looks deeper, we managed to bring out some of the geological bodies that we never actually see in the any of the reports or articles published in this area, which is basically we have an east-west elongated geological bodies that actually sits underneath our sedimentary basins over here.
That's amazing. So you think you've discovered some new insights into the Tinjar area, and for those who don't know, but the Tinjar province is onshore along the coast of Sarawak. So this is not an area that's easy to get access to. It's not an easy area to do a lot of other survey techniques, but using FTG, we acquire this data from an airplane, so we're able to cover the entire area very quickly and efficiently, and might I also add, much cheaper than a lot of other conventional techniques. And not only are we able to do that, but now, as you see, we can discover some new geological structures and new insights into the area. Really fascinated to see some of the results. Just in general, how did you find working with our data? I'm curious to know.
So actually, it's a continuation work. So I have worked with the Central Luconia data using your FTG as well. So in the Central Luconia and also towards the Balingian area, the near shore sections, we also managed to see these east-west orientations. And then when we continue the work on Tinjar, so we see the similar orientation. So they are parallel to each other. So the next questions would be like, does these east-west oriented bodies that we map both in Luconia and also in Tinjar are actually a same thing, a continuations of something? Perhaps it's a hint for the potential subduction slab underneath North Sarawak. Because Roy, do you know that we actually have a paper published by Chinese that they, based on the velocity tomography, they managed to see the same orientation too underneath North Sarawak. So perhaps it's a complementing the current findings in this area.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I saw on one of the diagrams that you'll be able to see in the paper at APGCE. You've got some other studies and some other of the structural interpretation from other studies overlaid with your own interpretation from the FTG data. So I think it's really fascinating to see not only where they correlate, but also where they start to differ. So I think it's going to be a really fascinating paper to see. And did you enjoy working with FTG and aeromagnetic data?
Yeah. Yes, it's a new venture, and it gives a lot of satisfactions if you manage to complement the existing results and also to come up with new things. So don't be afraid to use FTG. Basically.
The next question I was going to have is, what would you say to the other geologists and geophysicists in the area? Maybe they've only worked with seismic before. Maybe they've done some basic 2D seismic modeling from well data. What would you tell them about FTG? Don't be scared. Try it out. See what we can do.
Yes. We actually, my advice would be like, please utilize the data that we have. Of course, there will be a lot of hiccups to understand it, but Bell Geospace is here to help us understand the fundamentals of the thing. So basically, that's how I started. Roy helped me. So surely this new data will bring better outcomes rather than it's just being seated on the shelf, unused, right?
And that's one of the unique things about working in Malaysian geology is that the Malaysian multi-client study is the largest air-FTG survey in the world, and it covers essentially all of the Malaysian oil and gas blocks. So it would be a shame to not utilize every piece of technology available to the geologists and geophysicists here. So really great to see that you're getting the results you're getting, and thrilled to hear that we'll be able to read your paper at the APGCE. Can't wait.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Fathiyah, and really looking forward to seeing you again at the conference soon.